All right, welcome to a new series from the Sacred Life. This is Blind Reactions. I'm going to read.
We're not actually blind, just for the record.
No. But what it is I'm going to read quotes from a thinker or theologian, philosopher, somebody or another, and you guys are going to respond to the quotes, but you don't know who the thinker is, you don't know who these quotes are coming from. This is not a guessing game. Exactly, this is kind of a game, but the objective is not to guess who said these things. If you do guess, that's fine. I'll tell you if you're right. But again, that's not our objective. The real game here is that you guys are going to have to figure out: am I sparring with this guy or am I dancing with this guy? And there will probably be some quotes that you agree with and some that you disagree with. And the aim of doing this is that if I were to tell you who these quotes come from, then you would already have an opinion of this person. Mm-hmm. You would know why you don't have to listen to him. And we don't have the advantage of preconceived notions, and so that means we've got to deal with the claims as they come. We've got to see the good that's present in it, and hopefully we if there's a weakness, hopefully we see the weakness in it as well. My hope is that we can get to the real foundation of this person's ideas, but ultimately in a way that can lead us into wisdom, not about this person in particular, but about our own lives, about our world, and about our faith. David, what's your strategy going into this?
So I think my strategy is gonna follow after the advice of Saint Basil the Great,
Ooh.
Which is be the bee.
Like not the A, but the B.
Yeah, right. Don't try to be A. No, but like gather the sweet nectar, gather the goodness out of, he says this regarding reading the pagan philosophers and reading, the pagan literature, like the classics and things like that. Like advising Christians, you should actually read these things, but in a certain kind of way. Like not as though, I don't know, I don't want to go too far into detail on that, but for me, I think it's useful because it's kind of an exercise in humility, really, because our tendency, like you say, if we know who we're responding to, like if I know this is John Calvin, then I'm just going to be on guard for every heresy of John Calvin.
He's on my list, but it's not John Calvin.
Ooh, okay. But that's just, like for me, coming from an Orthodox perspective, that's like the classic guy to pick on.
Yeah.
That's why I picked that.
Yeah.
But that's not necessarily a good approach. It risks being a very prideful approach. So it's more, I think, more Christian, more patristic, more saintly to approach it with a place of humility and say, like, well, if God can speak goodness through the pagans, he can through Protestants and Catholics and so forth.
Mm-hmm. And tell me one more time the name of the saint that says this, be the bee.
I think at least that was Saint Basil the Great.
Okay.
I might be mistaken.
Okay, good. So it was Saint Basil the Great. I'll burn that into my brain.
Yes, burn that into your brain.
And Aaron, what is your strategy going into this?
I'll just rate each quote on a scale of 1 to 10, with like 10 being heaven and 1 being Islam or something like that. No, a similar to approach
I
to
didn't
Dave.
think you were going to use that, but all right. A bold opening here.
A similar to approach to what David's talking about. Just from a place of humility.
Oh, sure. Okay, well, are you ready to get started?
No, but let's get started.
All right. Quote number 1. Your job is not to judge. Your job is not to figure out if someone deserves something. Your job is to lift the fallen, to restore the broken, and to heal the hurting. David, what do you think?
I would say if there's a flaw in this, it would be in what is lacking. Everything in it is true. Like your job is not to judge, and that that would be the Orthodox position. So like it's not my job to judge somebody else's sin or somebody else's salvation. It is my job to do these good things for people. The thing that I would say is lacking is, reflecting inward on my own sin and repenting, because like that's my job as well.
Okay. we can't fit everything into one sentence that we should do with our lives.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, if you're saying my job is to do this,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not sure the context, but it's like, well, that's
Okay.
a lot of your job.
I'd say just, I'll go ahead and defend when I feel it's appropriate to defend, but otherwise I try not to make too much commentary. In contrast to thinking that your job is to judge people.
Okay. Yes.
In contrast to that, your job is lift the fallen, restore the broken.
Yeah,
heal the
I
hurting.
would say like almost every Orthodox saint and church father would have said that in response. So.
Can you read it again?
Aaron,
please?
sure, your job is, even though I just summarized half of it and then quoted the other half,
Yes.
your job is not to judge. Your job is not to figure out if someone deserves something. Your job is to lift the fallen, to restore the broken, and to heal the hurting.
What part about that stands out to me is the part about it is not my job to determine whether someone deserves something or even whether I deserve something. It prevails in this idea that our faith in Christ should never fall back onto what working to get what we think we deserve, or looking at others and saying, well, they deserve this or deserve that, or they don't deserve this or deserve that. I'm glad that I'm not the arbiter of that.
Yeah. Sometimes we say, I never had anything that I didn't earn. Yes, you did.
Exactly.
You had lots of things that you didn't earn. All right, we'll move on to the second quote. One of the main reasons that we lose our enthusiasm in life is because we become ungrateful. We let what was once a miracle become common to us. We get so accustomed to His goodness. We get so accustomed to God's goodness, it becomes a routine. Aaron, I'll have you start with this one.
I don't know. I don't know if I quite agree with the premise. I don't know if I quite agree with the idea that it's a lack of being grateful. I more of think that, what was the first part again? We become...
That we lose our enthusiasm.
We lose our enthusiasm. I think it lacks purpose and meaning. I can't always look at someone who is not grateful and say, that's the reason you're struggling in life is because you're not. Or I can't look at someone who's struggling in life and say, that's the reason you're struggling is because you're not thankful or grateful. I think it's missing something.
Okay.
That's my initial reaction.
Okay. Yeah, good.
You're not gonna.
No, I got a lot to get through. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just. Can you read it again?
Yes. One of the main reasons that we lose our enthusiasm in life is because we become ungrateful. We let what was once a miracle become common to us. We get so accustomed to His goodness, it becomes a routine.
Mm-hmm. I would say I agree with the sympathy of what Aaron says. I also agree with the sympathy of what he's saying. So I don't see it as like an absolute statement as he's saying, well, this is what's wrong with your life. You're not grateful. But I think the statement itself is true. That is one of the, like, what's the first sentence again? One of the
why we lose our enthusiasm.
Yeah, why we lose our enthusiasm. Like, I think that's true. Although I would say as a caveat to that, I don't know that enthusiasm is really what we should, something we should be putting on such a high pedestal, because that does run the risk of making things subject to how I'm feeling, and that, if I'm not feeling it when I'm worshiping or praying, then that means it's somehow less good.
Yeah,
and I think that's a wrong-headed way of thinking.
Okay, when we get to the more controversial quotes, boy, you guys are going to have a heyday.
Oh boy.
It's our faith that activates the power of God. And we'll reverse it again. David, what do you think?
This sounds pretty Lutheran.
Yeah.
I mean, it could just be.
Does this also sound like
our faith
synergy
activates the power of God?
Yeah.
It depends on what you mean by faith. I guess just say it depends on what you mean by faith. Do you define faith in a Lutheran way? And like, is this saying, is this a sola fide statement in how that is meant in the Lutheran and other Protestant models, kind of defined by Luther's innovations.
I thought you'd get excited when I dropped the word synergy and you'd run with that.
Yeah, I was going to.
Okay.
But but that's why I'm like pulling out this qualifier. It kind of depends on how you define faith. There's a way in which this quote is correct, and there's a way in which it is wrong.
Okay.
And it is right in the sense that, like, are you thinking faithfulness as like I trust God and I am faithful with what He is?
I'll say, in what sense would you say, or what would you think faith means if Jesus says your faith has made you well? Because I'd say that's an idea that's present in the quote. So in what sense is it true?
It's not a theoretical abstraction that Jesus is presenting.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you had enough faith to actually act, to actually reach out and touch me, because you believed that coming in contact with me in this way was going to make you whole. And since you had enough belief in me, this is Jesus speaking, not me. If you had enough belief in me that just touching me was going to help, that's the sort of thing that moves your life positively in a good direction. Like, it moves you towards being a person who acts for what is good.
Okay.
So in that way, in that sense, that's kind of what I'm getting at. In that sense, the quote is correct. But if the sense is I accept this theoretically, or like if in my rational mind, or if I accept Jesus into my heart in this very vague kind of way, it's like, well, but that's not real.
Okay, I think the speaker of the quote would have sympathy with this idea of something that's living and applicable to life.
Okay.
But we'll go ahead and go to Aaron. It's our faith that activates the power of God.
So when it comes to,
Well, actually,
Hey, it's Aaron's.
I know, but I want to qualify that a little bit. It's like activates the power of God. I think you got to be careful with that statement, with that part of the statement. Maybe I wasn't quite dealing with the nuance of that part of it, or not. It doesn't activate the power of God. Maybe it brings us into participation with it. But yeah.
Okay, so bringing in the idea of synergy then.
Yes.
Good, excellent. I love that.
Yeah, that's a great idea that I had.
All right, and Aaron, what's your thought?
So if I were to look at this statement from the perspective of rational thought, I could boil it pretty much down to where do I swipe my faith card and activate the power of God? Or if I could look at it from more of a mysterious perspective, dare I say, or Eastern Christianity perspective, Orthodox perspective, you might say, I like the explanation that David gave, about the woman touching the hem of Jesus' garment. It's that it's not so much.
To be fair, John set that up.
Yes, he did. But it's not so much that something I did activated it. It's something, but it's saying that my participation brought about something that I can see be active. Maybe is kind of the way I want to put it.
Okay, yeah. All right. If you'll dare to take your mind off your troubles, get your mind off your own needs, and instead seek to be a blessing to other people, God will do more for you than you could ever ask or think. Aaron, what do you think?
Is this one of the ones that's supposed to start getting really interesting?
This was still in my insightful category here.
Okay.
But, we found things to pick at in some of these other ones already.
I think the danger with this one, I see a danger, I guess I'm maybe kind of taking the view of looking at the possible pitfalls of a statement like that is that, again, it's this idea that you might fall into the temptation of thinking that you merit God's favor by what your actions are, or I'm going to have a good attitude so that God brings me favor. On the flip side, it's more of like, if your life is playing out that way, if God's work if He is at work in you and your heart, and that may very well be, or that will be, what manifests itself in your life as well. So, I apologize. That's kind of a little bit of a fence-sitting answer.
That's fine. That's part of the game, David.
Again, just restate the
If you'll dare to take your mind off your troubles, get your mind off your own needs, and instead seek to be a blessing to other people, God will do more for you than you could ever ask or think.
I guess I'm trying to be the bee here and glean the good out of it and not be overly polemical.
I remember you said that.
Yes. Although I just gotta admit I struggle with this one a little bit because I think it's getting performative. I might be. I want to be careful because I don't want to be prideful in my judgment of it, but I don't know. Just to me, I struggle with it because it just it seems like a way of thinking that's too much. Well, this is why you do good things, is to be blessed.
Mm-hmm.
But also that you're blessed by doing good things. I don't know what the context is and what sort of who this person is, but it does seem like the wrong sort of works salvation, as in, if I'm defining salvation from an Orthodox perspective, which is like this idea of theosis and synergy, then it's like, well, I'm gaining access to God by doing good things, which is, there's an element of truth to that, but it's not. That's not the primary means by which we draw nearer to God. It's part of the picture.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. That's
okay. No, that's great. I think you guys are actually doing excellent at this game so far. It's hard to sneak past you. Like I say, these were in my insightful category. And I think the things that you're raising as concerns will become bigger concerns as we progress. I will say, you said, I want to be the bee here, but I don't know. I'll cut off the second part because you said it becomes performative. Like I do the first part for the sake of getting this reward right here.
Yeah.
If you dare to take your mind off your troubles, get your mind off your own needs, and instead seek to be a blessing to other people. And we're just kind of ignored. Maybe I should have got rid of the word "if" there. But this seems like
good.
Seems like sage advice.
Yeah, right. Okay, and that's all. I wanted to highlight that part. Like, yes, take your mind off of yourself and focus on being a blessing to other people.
Right.
And so I'm agreeing with you in cutting off. Like, don't focus on the reward that you get from that. That's not what this is about.
Well, and the one idea that came to my mind, as an extension of that, would be maybe you think in terms of doing things for others not to merit some sort of reward, but maybe you actually love them.
Yeah. And it's like, I don't want to be making assumptions because I don't have, just based on that quote, I don't have enough information to say, oh, this is performative. But I guess I'm kind of making that judgment, and it's like, well, it seems like there's starting to emerge a pattern in what he's saying.
I think I may use that as my argument from here on out, that I don't have enough context to offer an opinion on it.
No, well, that's part of the game, though.
Yeah.
All right. When you reach out to hurting people,
so far so good.
Yeah, good. And this will be very similar. That's when God is going to make sure your needs are supplied. When you focus on being a blessing, God makes sure that you are always blessed in abundance. And I think we're starting with David this time.
It's just, okay.
If these are more the same, then we can keep the comments short. But go ahead, and what's your response?
For the most part, it's the same. But it's like I just feel like I don't know, like Joel Osteen.
Uh-oh.
I was gonna say my response is Joel Osteen.
Oh man, you guys got this really quick. I tried to find I tried to find some things that we would be able to appreciate, but like I say, even the insightful category. All right.
But it's just like what I'm saying, because like the reason I say that, like I was kind of halfway even joking when I said that, but it's like it does match the pattern.
Yeah.
But it's just that like Jesus doesn't promise us material blessings, and like the sort of things that he's saying here. It's like Jesus actually tells us if we follow him, we're going to suffer, and we might lack. Like he'll always give us what we need. But what we need is not this kind of blessings that he's talking about.
Mm-hmm.
What we need is what is fit for our salvation. And like that's what Jesus is promising us. God will always provide that. He will always provide that kind of sustenance or that kind of providence. Not he's going to bless you and heap all these things on you for doing what's good and being a good, faithful Christian. It's like, the apostles all died horrible deaths.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry. I mean, the only one who didn't die a horrible death wasn't for lack of trying. Like, he probably suffered more than the others.
Yeah.
But it's like, that's the example we have. And like, I don't know, my big concern about things like this is like, what's going to happen when you actually start facing persecution for your faith? The way the apostles did, the way the martyrs did, the way our ancestors did. Then it's going to be. Are you going to start thinking, well, I must have not been faithful, and this is why God is. And I know people think this way.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't need to be too.
So was the correct answer there, Joel Osteen?
It's Joel Osteen. Yeah. Now I thought the only thing is
this is coming from a guy who's never even listened to Joel Osteen.
I was waiting. It was funny because I was waiting for him to finish his answer, and then I was like, my answer is going to be Joel Osteen. And then he said Joel. I was like, come on.
Okay. Well, the game will go on because as I said, this is not a guessing game. There are some of these quotes I'll skip.
Yeah, but now it's going to be really hard.
I know. That's okay though, because as I said, as we go through this, we'd get into only more controversial quotes. And
we could probably go through these pretty.
Yeah. And I'll skip a lot of these because some of these, once you remove the mystery, then they lose the power.
Aaron needs his chance.
You can respond if you need to, but again, that was very similar to the last quote. So it just clarified that the concerns you had on the last one were valid, essentially.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you had anything else you wanted to add there.
No, just Joel Osteen.
Okay. All right.
That's how it needs to be.
Okay, so like I say, the ones that involve some element of mystery, I'll leave out of here, and we can respond to some of these other thoughts. You cannot expect to live a positive life if you hang with negative people. Aaron, what do you think?
Are we supposed to live a positive life all the time? I mean, is that the goal? It's just a question.
Yeah, no, it's a good question because you could say if positive means good, then yes.
Yeah.
If positive means like upbeat.
Again, it's all about the context here.
Yeah.
Like.
It's Joel Osteen.
Yeah, that's true. Like,
we're all supposed to know that.
It kind of skews my answer there a little bit, but I mean, in a certain context, I suppose. But yeah.
Okay. And David, what do you think?
I mean, Psalm 1. I mean, blessed is the man who doesn't sit in the counsel of the ungodly or the seat of the scornful, or you could paraphrase that as hang out with bad people. And there's biblical and patristic advice against don't go. The fathers talk about you shouldn't go to the arena, you shouldn't go to the races, you shouldn't go to the theater, not in the sense of modern movies.
Yeah, I know. I was talking to my classes about this.
Yeah.
I mean, you start a theater performance by sacrificing an animal to a god.
Yeah, right. And so it's like, yeah, right. And that's what they have in mind. It's like,
right.
Don't go to these pagan, don't go and involve yourself with the sort of debauchery that the pagans are carrying on with.
Mm-hmm.
So that in itself is true.
Now, how does this square with you could say Jesus hung with some negative people.
Yeah, right. Well, for one thing, he is Jesus.
Well, I think there's certainly a pattern for the followers of Jesus also
Yes.
to hang with negative people in a similar way. So that's the question is like, how do you reconcile those?
Yeah, so what I was going to say is he is Jesus, and like one of the fundamental qualities of Jesus as God is like he is irascible. Like he's not going to be moved because like God doesn't change. So he's not going to be changed by hanging with bad people. He's going to change the bad people.
Mm-hmm.
And like to justify, like to rectify that with what you're saying, it's like, well, that's what's in the saints that makes it acceptable for them to do that sort of thing. So, like, what's going to change the behavior of sinners if I'm hanging out in them, with them, not in them, is Christ in me. And I need to be humble about myself and accept, like, well, you know, maybe I'm not spiritually in a position where this is good for me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's always that, I don't know, there's always that conflict going on that, you know, I think, you know, for me personally, it's like I would work through that through the counsel of like my priest and the church. And I feel sorry for people who have to work that out on their own because I couldn't work that out on my own. So I feel like I would tend, if it was just up to me, I would tend much more towards that advice, which is just like, I can't do it.
Yeah. Okay, good. Aaron? Just do we reconcile that? You already responded to the quote, but how do we reconcile this with Jesus hanging out with negative people?
I mean, it's one of those things where it's like if you're going to, like, I could look at a lot of things Jesus did and say, well, that's not what a good Christian would do if I was looking at it from this modern logical mindset. Like, he is the arbiter of good. It's him. He's the determination of it, not us. So, you know, if someone's gonna go spend some time, you know, in whatever place, and you know, I don't know what their end goal is or what their aim is, but you know, it just, I don't think there's an exact answer to that.
Yeah.
And I don't think there should be.
Yeah, I mean, I would just say, I know I already talked, and we don't want to belabor any one point too much, but is like, am I going to hang out with sinful people with the perspective that I am a good Christian and I'm going to witness to them and lead them to Christ? Well, that is prideful, and I'm going to stumble at that pride and fall into sin. I think that's how that works, and like we see that over and over and over again. But if I have the perspective, it's like, no, I'm going to go bring Christ into their midst. And that's very different, and there's a very different sort of preparation that you go. But then, like, qualifying that with everything I already said.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna give you guys some of these affirmations. Boy, I don't know if I'll go through this whole list that I have here. I am forgiven. I'm anointed. I am accepted. I am approved. I am prepared. I'm motivated, I'm focused, I am disciplined, I'm determined, I am patient, I am kind, I am a child of the Most High God. And I think I started with you before, even. Yeah. So, well, David, what do you think?
Most of those things are truth statements. Some of them are like, you're trying to convince yourself of certain things, in order to, you know, like, be positive.
Yeah.
So it's a very mixed bag.
Yeah.
I guess.
I would say that's some of the point is to convince yourself.
Yeah.
So
it's like, are you saying I am a child of the Most High God just to, like, live in denial of the problems in yourself and in the world around you? I know people do that.
Yeah.
Or, you know, like, I'm chosen, I'm exalted, I'm anointed, and then that allows you to just, like, completely ignore your own sinfulness.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, well, that's bad. That is itself sinful.
Okay. I might complicate it in a minute, but Aaron.
My simple response would be, I'm broken and I need put back together, and I know somebody who can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And let's leave it at that.
Yeah.
And it's not to say that, like Dave said, it's not to say that any of those things aren't true. I mean, we are justified by Christ, but let Him be the one that promotes that and says that, and
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like, I mean, the counterpoint to what I said is also that, like, you do have to believe the things that Christ says.
Yeah.
And like because it's also sinful for you to deny the goodness and the grace that Christ, does, and the Holy Spirit does, like, pour out on you.
I think
so. It's like there's.
I think it's very tempting to.
I would just say it's like such a mixed bag as to be useless.
Yeah, I think there's a strong urge on our part to react to that type of statement in such a way that says, well, that's just simple, like, emotionalism, like modern charismatic garbage. But at the same time, what you just said is very true. Mm-hmm. It's true. It's very true in a sense too, and it needs to be. There's an acknowledgement of that as well.
Yeah, because, like, despondency is sin. Mm-hmm. So, like, if I am having a bad time with something and I start getting really down on myself, that is sin. Like, if my response to my own sinfulness is to fall into despondency and depression and, like, this kind of self-loathing, it's like I am abusing the goodness of Christ that is in me, and, like, I'm living in denial of that, and that is blasphemy.
This is a lot of like positive self-talk as a way of like doing a kind of self-therapy, or therapy is one way of describing it, but also, like, if I'm focused on success and being the best version of myself, you could still use the word therapy for that. But again, like, positive self-talk is the proper approach to therapy. To me, this is a lot of first person singular.
Yeah.
And this doesn't really seem to be like the traditional Christian approach to me to my inadequacies or my brokenness or whatever. And you added this, like, I am broken. Like, how about let's focus on those things if we're going to define who we are.
Yeah.
But that's part of the reason that I included this, and this is a big part of his approach to life, is this these self-affirmations,
right?
Finding all the good things that you can say about yourself in order to move toward becoming those things.
What I would say, going back, like, trying to persist in the spirit of being the bee, is that there is a positive impulse in this kind of neo-charismatic Pentecostal evangelical mega church revivalist, I don't know, all these things mashed together kind of movement, which is that they are kind of trying to recover this idea that Protestantism abandoned of the church as a vessel of healing.
Yeah.
And so, like, that is a positive thing.
Yeah.
And that's something I always try to avoid, being overly polemical against these people, because, like, they have an impulse that is correct. Unfortunately, their belief system has caused them to discard any concept of theosis and of, like, the fact that God mediates this healing through the holy mysteries and the life of prayer and repentance and the ritual life of the church and all of these things. So, like, they don't have that, and lacking that, they're kind of trying to rediscover it. So it's like they're sort of trying to reinvent their own sacramental life in a way.
Yeah.
I mean, which you can't do. The only sacraments that are real, the only rituals that are real, are the ones that God gives us. We can't make up our own. So that's, I guess, what I have to say in that.
Yeah. I have some kind of similar thoughts, but I look at them as coming from a different direction, because when I look at Joel Osteen, then I compare him to secular self-help literature. And and it's easy to be very, very harsh on Joel Osteen for some of the reasons that we picked out in those early statements.
Yeah.
And I think actually if you compare him to self-help literature, to the secular self-help literature, then I think it's actually, you can say, well, this is better than that. Because if you're on a quest to accomplish something big in your life, you can do it in this way that is all about just about you and your money and your success and all this, or you can do this in a way that says, even in my pursuit of this type of success, I still really want God to be a part of that picture and a part of my life. And so, like I say, I think there's something superior in Joel Osteen's approach to the conventional self-help person. And yet for me, like all those I am statements, all that first person singular sort of betrays what's, it may be better than the secular self-help, but the real problem is like all this focus on me and who I am and who I'm going to be and the success that I'm going to have and all this. And that's not that's not the mature Christian who's like taking in the solid food.
Yeah. Right.
There's a,
but like I said, like there is a recognition that has happened at some level that like the church has kind of abandoned its role as hospital,
right?
And they're trying to like rediscover. It's like, well, no, this is what the church should be, and I kind of have some personal experience with this way of thinking, which is like, oh no, this is what the church should be. Is, it should be the place where people are finding healing, and the fact that we have to.
And with the faith thing, you brought up the well, it depends. Is this like some intellectual idea, or is this like about how do you live your life practically? And there again, you could look at this as being a kind of restoration where the faith has been all about the ideas that I can cram into my head, and this is somebody who is going to say, look, how we're practically living our lives is actually what matters.
Yeah.
And that's actually what faith means. So there's another example that you touched on earlier,
right,
where in a sense he's trying to restore something that's lost.
Yeah.
With all this defense of him,
again, I remain ruin all of our goodwill.
Very, very critical of the. Let's see. Okay, sure. I'll just pick the one that will most ruin our goodwill, and no, actually, I have one other that you guys will probably have heard this quote before, but they're the second one that I give you, and I'll just do two more quotes, I think. All right, here we go. I've come to expect to be treated differently. I've learned to expect people to want to help me. My attitude is this: I'm a child of the Most High God. My Father created the whole universe. He has crowned me with favor. Therefore, I can expect preferential treatment. I can expect people to go out of their way to want to help me.
I mean, aren't you contradicting yourself?
In what way? What's the contradiction?
Because earlier you were talking about, you need to learn not to focus on yourself and instead focus on other people, and then God will bless you.
Yeah.
But now it's like, but I've learned to expect people. It's like, but you're focusing on yourself again. You're making you're turning all of this goodwill that you've built, you're making it all about yourself.
Right.
Like what we are concerned about.
Yeah, as the progression of these particular quotes, I didn't really intend this, but I kind of realized after the fact that when you get to these sort of statements, the goodwill and the opening statements kind of feels like it was a trick all along. Right,
and then we have John the Baptist over here on the wall behind us, who his example is when Christ appears. First of all, before that, he's clear. It's like none of this is about me. And then when Christ shows up, it's like, I'm not worthy even to untie your sandals, and I must decrease and he must increase.
Yeah.
And that's the way of repentance and salvation. Not like I'm special. It's like, no, you're a worm. Like, not in a sense that you should be like nihilistic and depressed, but in the sense that your life has nothing to do with how people treat you.
Okay, Aaron, I'm sure you've got a reaction to this.
I mean, it's just kind of a descent into self-focus.
Mhm.
Like it's and it's really tempting in the world, the culture we live in, to do that. Like it can become a little subtle sometimes, I think, for in the way that we ourselves might think about things. But yeah, I mean, I kind of thought maybe, if you would have did this in reverse, the self will or the olive branch might have not been broken.
Yeah, we could flip the order of these, and it becomes a story of repentance almost.
It's like, oh well,
Yeah.
Joel Osteen is getting better and better.
Yeah. Okay. Any other comments on that? Like I say, I'll do one more of these.
Okay, I was hoping not.
No, this one you may have heard this before, and this comes not from Joel Osteen, but from his wife and his partner in ministry. When we obey God, we're not doing it for God. I mean, that's one way to look at it. We're doing it for ourselves because God takes pleasure when we're happy. That's the thing that gives him the greatest joy this morning. So I want you to know this morning, just do good.
I'm out of
for
here.
As I said, some of the quote goes on, but I think since I've not, I don't know if my audience is still here, but my participants in the game show are leaving. Some of the concerns that we had earlier on, the reason I said you might have heard this before, because this became like this big viral thing, people are sharing this all over the place and saying, look, this is what the old Osteens are all about. And in a sense, we could identify even from the things that seem to have some wisdom to them, that it kind of felt like this is what it was all about, from page one.
Yeah. Where did you how long did it take you to source that first quote that you gave us? Did you have to search far and wide for that one?
Well, I don't particularly remember because I just started looking for a bunch of quotes by him, and I was looking for the things that would make the guy look good, and I wasn't that successful.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't want something that was gonna be like totally benign,
Right.
I wanted something that was actually expressing something,
Mm-hmm.
but that would that we would have some things that we'd be able to draw the wisdom out of. But I don't know which ones I found first and which I found later or anything like that. I came up with the structure for this after I collected a lot of them.
I don't know that my mama ever told me this, but I know somebody's did at one point in time, and so this became a common saying that my mama always told me, if you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all.
Yeah.
So that'll be my response.
I've heard
Yeah.
I've heard many different versions of that one.
Okay, well, I think, I thought at the end of this we would have some general comments about the speaker, but we kind of already did that because we discovered who it was fairly early on.
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of gave some of your take about what he's trying to restore that's missing.
Yeah.
And my take, as I already gave, was largely, I think this guy really is a self-help person.
Yeah.
And as a self-help person, you can argue that he's better than some of the alternatives out there.
I mean,
And if that's the argument, then I would also say it's a mistake that he has a church.
yes, right. I've heard similar statements. Is that this is a self-help ministry,
Mm-hmm.
but that actually it would be better if it wasn't a church.
Yeah.
If he was just doing like Jordan Peterson or somebody like that, and just be like, no, this is about helping you make your life better, and not some kind of religion.
Yeah. Right.
Because it's not Christianity,
Mm-hmm.
and so since this is a church, people are going to this thinking that they are Christians,
Yeah.
and they're not.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but I feel perfectly justified in saying this is not the Christian religion.
Yeah.
So next time maybe you could do the 700 Club.
Oh, next time will be a totally different flavor, I assure you. No, these things will be all over the board, and I won't touch any more prosperity.
Yeah.
After this, we've sort of already hit the pinnacle of that movement. Okay, so that's what I've got. This has been a blind reaction to quotes from Joel Osteen. Hope you guys got something out of it, and in spite of how much you guys hated it, I think there was some insightful discussion here.
For the record, I didn't actually hate it.
All
I'm hamming it up for the camera.
Sign us off.
Okay, well, thanks for being with us again. You, our listeners, bless us all the time. We appreciate that you journey on with us through all of our discussions and everything. And just thanks for being with us, and we wish you peace in Christ.